Classic American Butterdish Stick 1. So the first thing I do is I preset my calipers before I get my hands all muddy. I set it to about 4.5 inches on my shrink rule. This size may change a little bit for you. I recently found out that standard butter sizes are different sizes on the East Coast, West Coast, and in Canada. So check and make sure where you're making this at, and measure your standard size butter stick. Make sure you have the right size. Anyways, for East Coast butter sticks, 4.5 inches should be about right for the inside diameter. I'm going to start with about a pound of clay and flatten it out like you're making a plate, and then open the inside all the way to the bat and widen it just to right about the size of your preset calipers. The next step is to establish your two rings. You want your inside ring to have about twice as much clay as your outside ring. The inside's going to be the lid to the butter dish, and the outside's going to be basically the wall to the bottom dish. I pull my inside wall up first. It's a little easier to get my fingers in there. Smooth that out and then pull up my outside ring. Then we're going to slice it off the bat, being pretty careful not to distort it too much. Then after this, we're going to suggest our corners. We're not actually going to alter it straight from the wheel here. We're just going to suggest where these corners are going to be, the inside corners and the outside corners. I use the end of a paintbrush. It's nice and rounded. I find rounded corners don't give me as many cracks as maybe a sharp edge corner does. So. You're going to let this dry for a little bit. You don't want it to dry to a leather hard state. You want it to be fairly soft when you alter it, but you don't want it to be wet either. You want it just kind of right in between the two states. You just gradually pull each piece out and shape them. Do one and then the other and then the other and then one till you get it to right about the shape you want. Roll out a slab of clay and put it on top of your lid And this is actually upside down, and I'm giving it a slight dome shape to it. I'm going to let that stiffen up and go ahead and roll out a slab of clay for the bottom and attach the bottom tray. Just going to mark the inside, see where I need to put slip. Let that stiffen up before we clean it up later. So this is the lid, and I'm going to mark on the inside where I need to cut that slab of clay. And I'm actually going to cut it slightly larger than this line that I made. And I'm also going to cut it at a bevel so that that edge makes a nice contact with the lidded piece. So I'm going to slip this one, and actually I'm going to reinforce this lidded piece. If we didn't reinforce it, we'd get cracks where the lid tried to separate from that top piece. So what I'll do is I'll roll out a piece of clay, flatten it out, and attach it to the inside. Press it pretty good, and this will make sure those two pieces don't separate as it dries or gets fired. So you're going to find when you alter something like this drastically, it has kind of a rocking chair effect to it. It doesn't sit quite flat. So I've waited for this to get pretty well leather hard, and I take a surf form to kind of flatten the bottom off to make sure it sits right and doesn't rock from front to back. And then we just add the finishing details. I like adding little feet to the bottom of the tray and handles. And there you go. You're ready for the drying rack, biscuing and glazing.